Welcome back, traders. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how you can validate your liquidity levels. And you guys probably might think this is a shock because it's like, how can you truly validate when liquidity is actually going to begin and happen? And this really has to do with, you guys already know, market structure. And I want to show you guys something. And it actually just ties into everything that we really just learned. All you are really doing in this course is connecting every single dot. And a lot of these things that like I said in some of my videos, it can be applied on the 15-minute time frame. Because I like to say, guys, the 15-minute time frame is the powerhouse of the lower time frame. So I want you guys to imagine something. Let's just say we are creating some type of structure like this. We're creating, we're creating, we're creating. You guys know that for liquidity, liquidity likes to sweep previous highs, right? And even lows as well. So we like to look at lows and highs because those can be used as liquidity points. And I want you guys to think about something. Let's just imagine that you guys were at a resistance zone, okay? I want you guys to imagine this. You are currently at a resistance zone, okay? And let's just say we are currently at this section of price action. We're right here, okay? What I want you guys to think about when it comes to liquidity, guys, is I want you guys to not only see it as strength and price needing more strength to do a reaction or a movement it wants to do, but I also want you guys to think about it from a market structure standpoint. A lot of the times when we see liquidity sweeps, we see price failing to break a low or a high. And when this happens, we can say, okay, we're failing to break structure. We are failing to go lower or we are failing to go higher, and price does not have strength to do the reaction or the movement it wants to do. And a lot of the times when we try to gain strength, we are going to try and do what? Use it in a form as liquidity. We're going to try and take orders. We're going to try and bait traders to then do the actual reaction or the movement it wants to do. And how I validate these is something called reference points. And I like to say, I don't know why I call them reference points, but because it's literally referencing, it is a point that is telling you, okay, is this liquidity sweep valid or not? And it just is based off of market structure. So basically, let's just say, okay, we have, all these highs up here, and we're kind of looking at this structure being presented right now. What I'm paying attention to is I'm paying attention to this high. This high is also called my reference point. And why is it that? Like, if you had to think, okay, why is would this be called my reference point? My reference point is basically defined as the point, I'm going to write this down, the point where price can go to. It can be the highest, I'm going to say it can be the reference point is the highest or lowest point price can go to without go to when taking highs or lows out. Okay? This just has to do with market structure. So you guys see this example right here. You guys see how price is failing to break this previous low here. And when we fail to break something, when we fail to break structure, a lot of the times we will see what? We will see price try to retrace, right? And it may try, maybe it will create a lower high, but sometimes we will do what? Take the high out and use it as liquidity. And the reason why we do this is because we're trying to bait traders and collect orders to then gain the strength to do the reaction or the movement it wants to do. So basically, I call this my reference point because I know based off of market structure, if we take this previous high out here, that's right here, if we take this out, I know as a trader, the highest point that we could potentially go in order to still maintain bearish structure is going to be this point here. Because if we start breaking not only this high, but then we start breaking two consecutive highs, what do you think price is going to do? Most likely that is what? Price is literally just trying to shift trend direction. We are just too strong in the uptrend direction and we're going to continue pushing up. But with my reference point in place, I basically established that, okay, based off of market structure, if we fail to break this previous low here, I'm going to account for liquidity by using our reference point to be like, okay, if we just end up breaking this previous high here, but we take that high out and then we come up into this level and we stay below the reference point line, and we then start doing what? Creating bearish structures. So give me confirmations by breaking maybe some type of low that's a low, maybe the low that's right here, or some type of low, right? Then I know most likely that is a liquidity sweep because we took this high out, but now we're failing to go higher, and now we're starting to break lows. And that means we have what? We took this high out, so we have orders and we now have strength to do the reaction or the movement it wants to do. And so reference points in a sell market, in a bearish market, these are always going to be some type of high. Because what did I also show you guys? In a bearish market, we always draw our trend lines on what? Highs. Because we want them to be respected. We don't want them to be broken continuously. And so my reference point has to be at a high because I want to make sure that, okay, you know what? We might not have strength to push past this low here, which is why we're not breaking it. But you know what I also know is price loves to take liquidity out. So I'm going to account for it. I'm going to be like, okay, if we take this out, I'm okay with whatever we do when we push up and take it out, as long as we stay below this reference point, and as long as after we show that we hold, we start breaking lows continuously. And then once we come back down here again, we must start breaking these lows here in order for my target, let's just say if my target was down here, to hit. Okay, that is what I mean by a reference point. It is really that simple. I'm going to show you guys from a bullish perspective, and then I will show you guys true examples with candlesticks. And this is how, and then when I show you guys my strategy and my approach in the markets, you guys will now understand why I draw some of the lines that I draw. Okay. Okay, guys. So for a buy example, guys, let's just say you wanted to get in for buys here, right? And you notice as a trader, you're like, we just can't seem to break these previous highs here. We keep trying to break these previous highs, but we're not strong enough. We're not breaking. And you guys know, whenever you see price failing to break structure, and when you see price failing to go higher, price failing to go lower, that means we're not strong enough in that direction. And the only other option for price to do is to either go up or go down. So in this case, we are failing to break these previous highs here. And when we see this, what is most likely price trying to do? It's trying to push up, but we're not strong yet. And how do we gain strength? Well, I define liquidity as price needing more strength to do a reaction or the movement it wants to do, right? So price needing more strength to do a reaction or a movement it wants to do. And it gets strength by taking people out of the market, by using liquidity, by using orders. So your reference points for buys are always going to be at previous or lows in general. So where can I find a low beneath these lows here? It's going to be this one here, right? And so what I'm basically saying for this reference point, guys, I'm basically saying I'm basically saying, okay, I'm basically saying I do not care how low price goes. As long as we stay above this level here, above this reference point that is below these lows, if we decide to take out liquidity, I'm okay with it. And I will count it as price taking orders out to then reverse into the opposite direction. And why am I doing it at the lows for buys? And why would it make sense to do it here? Because what if we started breaking lows, guys? Wouldn't that allow price to create a lower low? I'm just connecting the dots with what I've already showed you guys and taught you guys. If we start breaking lows, that is price trying to create what? Lower lows. Do we do that when we buy? Do we do that in bullish structure? We don't. We break highs and we respect lows. But to account for liquidity, when you see price failing to break structure, I'm usually like, okay, let me give price another chance because I see that we just don't have strength yet. So I will find a level, I'll be like, okay, as long as we stay above this low here, my reference point, this low here, okay, I will count it as an LQ sweep, a liquidity sweep. But once we break it, that is me potentially being like, okay, I'm going to shift my trend direction. I'm going to shift my bias. And maybe I'm going to be like, okay, maybe sellers are actually taking control because you don't want to get stopped out because you are liquidity. You never want to be liquidity. And a lot of the times this literally kept happening to me. I kept on being getting caught in the market during stop hunts and when price was taking out liquidity, right? And this was my number one way to avoid this because it accounted for market structure and it accounted for price failing to break structure and it accounted for any liquidity sweeps that were occurring or were about to happen. So when I see price failing to break structure here, I'm like, okay, you know what? We might actually take these lows out because we just don't have strength to do the reaction or the movement it wants to do. Go back to my liquidity video if this doesn't make sense. So if we're respecting this previous low here and we're actually holding here, then we know price is going to do what? It's going to continue pushing up and go higher, right? Because what are we actually intent doing? We failed to break structure, so the only other option for price to do is to come back down, right? But we are respecting overall previous structure, this low here, okay? Even though we took this low out here, we needed to because we couldn't get strength to do the intended reaction. We couldn't push past this level. We couldn't. We tried really hard. So we had to get orders somehow. We had to get it through liquidity. And so when we came back down here and we actually held here and we failed to break this previous low here, this is where price is taking out orders, taking out liquidity, taking out lows to then do what? Do the reaction or the movement it wants to do because it has the strength to do it now. So this is my reference point. And because sometimes you might notice that price just taps your reference point. It literally sometimes just wicks it. And this is why I've taught you guys the difference between a break of structure and a non-break of structure. Because I've seen it where price just wicks it, just slightly wicks, like a huge wick here, and then reverses in the opposite direction. Or we might see a little bit of body, like just a little bit of body, but we definitely see more wick, and then it reverses. So if you can understand the difference between a non-breaking structure and a breaking structure, it is so powerful because you can use this for reference points. You can use this to get into the market and you can use this to spot fake outs and everything like that. And I swear, oh, I spelled reference wrong. I just realized I spelled reference wrong, guys. Okay, please don't come at me. Anyways, guys, I know it looks so weird. I was like, wait. Yeah, I was like, it looks a little weird. I think I'm forgetting an E somewhere. Anyways, you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Reference point is what I'm trying to say. Please don't mind the spelling. That being said, guys, if we stay above the reference point, I don't care if we come to it directly and tap into it, more wick than body going through the zone. Oh, baby, that is price taking out orders. That is AKA manipulation. That is price trying to bait traders thinking we're going to sell when in fact we start pushing up. And when we start doing this, what are you looking for? You're making sure we are breaking highs and we are respecting lows and be sure that you're paying attention to any AR levels, anticipating retracement levels. We know this is where price likes to create a lower high in a what? In a bearish market. And this can also be great retracement points for what? Price to create higher lows. So even if we retrace from this, as long as when we do, we are still respecting this low here, then we start breaking previous highs, then we can be en route to create bullish structure. Okay? Guys, this might be really confusing to some of you. It's new. It's something new. So please bear with me And don't worry, I will be here to teach you guys this 100 times if I need to. Ask questions, DM me. I am always here. So I'm gonna show you guys a couple examples. I'm also gonna give you guys some PDF examples so you can guys can do what? Back test, right? Go onto the charts and try and spot similar things that I see so you guys can get used to training your eyes to see it. Remember, repetition is the mother of all learning. Okay, guys. So let's just say you marked your charts and you did the top-down analysis just like I showed you guys, and you just figured out, okay, you know what? I want to get in for buys. But the thing is, you notice that what's not happening. We're not getting the two things that we need for buys. Highs being broken and lows being respected, right? But you were like, "No, I'm confident that price wants to buy at this level. I'm confident that we truly want to buy." And after you do your top-down analysis, okay, it might not look like this perfectly, but it looks something like this. You realize, what are we doing? We are failing to break previous highs. We're failing to break highs, right? We need highs to be broken in a bullish market. Okay? You guys can clearly see we came and created the support. We tried to break, but we couldn't, right? We're trying, and now we tried again, but we couldn't. So when you guys see failures to break structure, this is where you should be on the lookout for liquidity sweeps to happen. Now, that being said, guys, what does that mean, guys? This low here becomes what? The point that you are saying, okay, you know what? I understand that price could potentially come and take this low out, but I'm going to be ready for it, okay? I'm going to mark some type of reference point, and usually this is done by looking in the past because there's a lot of price action. Let's go on to the higher time frame so I can just find it quicker, right? I'm going to find a point in the past that is slightly below my support zone that I drew and be like, okay, if we stay, above this point, I will be okay with counting this as price taking out lows to continue pushing up to potentially be a liquidity sweep. That being said, guys, what am I looking at? Okay, where is a low below the support zone that I drew? Guys, isn't this a low below it? It is, right? And even if you didn't see this one, you're like, okay, well, these over here are low. These are lows too, you can see. So you can draw it here as well. But this is the one that's nearest to the zone that I already drew. So let's go back down to the 15-minute time frame now, okay? So let's just say this. If we come and we take out the low here, right? I know that I will count it as an LQ sweep if we stay what? Above this level here. And then what am I paying attention to after price holds or reacts from the zone is price breaking highs like almost instantly. Okay. Then you are making sure that any retracement points that happen, any retracements, that price is respecting lows and breaking highs so we can continuously find strength to do what? Finally break past these highs and then, potentially target the next highs or whatever you want to do. Okay. That being said, guys, okay, let's watch this. Let's watch this. Let's watch this. Okay. So this is a buy example, right? I'm gonna make sure that you guys know this. I am gonna show you guys more examples in PDF form so you guys can always refer back to it and instead of watching my video, but I need you guys to understand it. That's why this is in video form. So we're watching this low. Anything that stays above this reference point right here, I'm counting it as a liquidity sweep. And this just goes back to understanding market structure. I keep spelling reference. Why does it feel like I'm spelling this wrong? Reference point. Okay, so let's just go back to market structure because, like we said, we know lows shouldn't be broken in market structure. They should be respected. So that's why it makes sense to say, okay, if we don't keep breaking lows continuously, and especially the low below, um, especially the low near current price, the low that's causing price to keep failing and failing to break structure, that means it could be a valid liquidity sweep if we stay above it. No, because it's just market structure being created, right? Reference points is just your understanding of market structure. It's just an advanced way of saying if we come here, we are respecting overall lows of market structure. And that means we can use them as reference points for what? Liquidity sweeps. Okay, so let's actually see this one play out. Let's watch it. Okay, we come here, guys. Look, oh my gosh. I just established what this is a reference point. We wait for the next candle. We wait for, our entry confirmations. When you watch my entry confirmations video, it will make sense as to what I look for, right? Then you just get your confirmations. Then you can do what? Maybe enter in for a break and retest. Then you can watch price just fly and hit your take profit. And look what we do. And this is what I mean. Sometimes we might just tap the reference point. And I always draw them at the wick of the lows. So if you go back to this level here, you see, I went too far, I went too far, I went too far. You see, wait. Yes, you see how we see structure here? I always draw it at the wick, okay? Always at the wick. If there's no wick, then obviously just drew it at the end of it. But it's always at the wick because we know wicks do what? They like to fill. Right? So wicks like to fill a lot of the times. They like to go as close to them as possible when price starts selling or once price starts buying. So I like to account for that. So I usually do them at the wicks, okay? And look, it literally tapped the wick. It literally came so close to it. And then it was like, what? No, we don't like it here. We want to maintain overall structure. Let's continue pushing up and do what? Buy. And what is this, guys? It clearly is a liquidity sweep because what are we doing? We're continuing pushing up. We gain the strength to push up. And oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And this is how I catch my entries like that. That's how I'd be like, ooh, we got this, reference points still intact. Let's see how price let's get our entry confirmations get in. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys. This is so easy. And this I didn't and did you hear me say anything confused and like any hard words? I just talked about highs and lows. There's power in just understanding market structure in depth, guys. Because ladies and gentlemen, I use this every single time I trade. You will notice I always have some type of lines that look like this. And if you ever wondered why, this is why. This is why. We're going to do another example. We have a resistance here, okay? We have these lows down here. We're failing to break. Let's just say we're failing to break here. Let's just say we're failing to break these lows here. We were able to break this level, okay? But we're struggling to break maybe this one here. And you can see even this liquidity sweep was here. And if we had our reference points here and we said, okay, as long as we stay below this high here, we're good for sells. And look what it did. It sold. Okay. But in this case, we're failing to break this low here. All right. We're failing to break this low. After we did a top-down analysis, let's just say we derived that, okay, we have our support and our resistance zone. We're failing to break. Okay. All right. We're failing to break lows. We're not breaking. We're trying to. So what is the only other option for price to do if we aren't breaking? Right? We're going to have to come back up. And then you have to make sure that you're looking at this high here to make sure price isn't creating a lower high or to make sure price isn't using it as liquidity to fake you out into thinking it's going to keep pushing up when in fact it's just probably what? Using it as liquidity to then do the movement or the reaction it wants to do. In this case, maybe sell like this, right? So that means you need to have some type of reference point but above price for sells. And this is why a lot of the times I'll have a reference point below my lows, so below my support, and above my resistance in case to account for liquidity sweeps, right? Because I already know that if we fail to break structure in between these zones, that, I'm already going to be looking at what? The lows here, right? But outside of this, if I don't have outside of my drawings, if I don't have any drawings, I need to make sure we're respecting, this level here when we're staying above it to count it as price, taking orders. And then maybe, account above this to make sure, price isn't just faking me out and it actually wants to continue going higher. Okay. That being said, guys, let's find a point together. So I told you guys, it's always going to be the next high above the highs that we're looking at. These are the highs. Where would the next high be? Where do we see a bunch of highs? Well, I see highs here. Okay. And I told you guys to also draw them at the wicks. Some of you guys, maybe you might see this one here, and that is pretty okay. But I would opt for this one here only because it's really clear that it's a high. If we were going to use this, you see how kind of like right there, but because we're counting for wicks, it's going to be slightly like this. So we're going to go in this area, okay? In that area. That being said, I do not care if we come up here, right? As long as we stay below this and we start breaking lows continuously and then start creating lower highs, I know we can enter in for sells and I know price is going to come back down. So what are we watching? We're watching this level here. We're watching to see how we react at our reference point. So our reference point. Okay, so let's watch it. Let's watch price come up. Okay. Ooh, you guys, oh my gosh. I didn't even put my position, but you guys see how it tapped that? It's just structure. We are respecting overall what? Bearish structure. We do what in bearish structure? We respect highs and we break lows. So when we start respecting these highs up here and we're like, okay, we're not gonna, okay, price doesn't want to come up any higher. We're gonna, test these highs because what? Highs like to be tested because there's some sort of resistance level. So when we see this and when we can be like, okay, this next previous high, if we fail to break, buyers are not yet strong enough to continue pushing up. And we want to make sure that price starts continuously breaking lows to validate that this was truly price doing what? Just taking out orders. And we immediately started breaking. And remember, even if this second candle ended up being here, where are you guys paying attention to? Because you're connecting the dots with my lessons. These previous highs is where price loves to test to create a higher low and build a structure. So you can wait for price to break this zone if you want. If you're not used to this, if you're not used to price action, right? And get in on this retest when price comes back into this level to then do what? Entering for sells down, right? That's really all it is. So now that you guys see that, this is what you guys can do. You can wait for price to, potentially retrace, right? Find a new entry point and then let price come back, and then let price, and then let price continue, potentially selling down, right? But you guys see how we didn't break this reference point? We wicked it. Nobody going through the zone. It's not a break of structure. We tested our reference point and then price did what? Oh my gosh. Let's look at guys. And I don't even, let's just see how much you could have caught. This is 200 pips. For people who are like not, who don't even need that, this is 100. You could have ate off of this. 90, 70, 50. You know what I mean? Just from, and you just avoided getting faked out. You just avoided thinking that this was a break of structure where a lot of people who trade support and resistance, who trade breakouts, would have entered into the market. And remember, when it comes to breakouts, guys, a lot of the things that you're just paying attention to is you're waiting for price to break structure to then create a higher low and continue pushing up. And in this case, we're waiting for price to break structure to the downside, so break a previous low and get in on a retest to create what? A lower high to continue pushing down. You're just trying to catch price at a lower high for sells. You're just trying to catch price at a higher low for buys. And if you had entered here, you would have caught price doing what? Creating a lower high to continue pushing down. Guys, this is reference points. You just avoided getting faked out just by simply drawing a line and and literally combining it with your understanding of market structure. Isn't that beautiful? Like, I'm sorry. This is so beautiful. So guys, this is the end of this video. Please look at the PDF files that are in this section so you guys can understand this in depth. Please ask questions. Please keep them coming. I love answering them, honestly. So with that being said, this is the end of this video, guys.